and welcome to test all our lovely honeys that are beginning to be straight from the bees, straight from the hives, right through to your plate. I hope you don't say into your coffee cup, because you know honey and hot material do not gel. I thought you might like actually today to have a look where your honey comes from. And on my way through the courtyard, I've just picked up a frame, just an ordinary frame of wax that the bees have produced. And they probably took about 2 or 3 weeks to produce this. A work of art. My God, is it not? I just hold it. It is so light. It probably doesn't weigh half a pound. And yet all these beautiful hexagons, and I don't know whether the photographer here and my video guy, David, can actually pick up the hexagons. Can you do it, David? Can you pick up the light going through the hexagons? At all? Tell me when.
That's good.
That's good. You can see this here, the hexagons, and they're totally empty except for a little bit of honey on the other side. This is how it all starts. The bees have produced this, aren't they wonderful creatures? They normally can only produce wax when they're very young, and they give us the hexagon, the greatest, most wonderful shape in the world. So you have maximum volume with minimum expense of wax that they've had to produce. They produce wax into their little bellies, from their little bellies. And it's only when bees are very young that they can do that. So we know this has been produced by this year's bees, and here they are, and it's looking a little bit brown already. The brown stuff is nothing to worry about. I'm afraid it's nothing nasty. It smells delicious. And this is the propolis that the bees have gathered already from our Christmas trees. I'm talking now in mid-May. And the propolis is beginning to be engorged and stuffed everywhere to make the beehive the most antibacterial place on the earth. And here they are, these creatures who they say know nothing. I think they know a lot. So a very light frame, this is what we put in. We may have 12 of these in a hive. And I come to another one. This is one I gathered earlier. How heavy? 8, 9 pounds of honey in here. If I hold it up very gently, you can see it's now coated in wax completely. Not only the hexagons of wax, but it's coated in wax on both sides. This means now that this honey has a low amount of water, a high amount of sugars, a high amount of antibacterial activity, and can I tell you, it will last and last and last for thousands of years. And that's why honey has been found in Egyptian tombs and has been eaten, as I indeed will just go on the top here and just eat a little bit. I'm going to put this back into a hive, and they will actually, within 2 or 3 days, coat that again with their special wax. Wonderful creatures. Very interesting where this wax comes from, you know, because it's young bees and they secrete it from their little belly. They have like mirrored little wax mirrors. They glint and you can see them producing wax scales. And that just is imprinted on there. It's almost like wallpapering a frame. It's a beautiful thing to see, not only when they're young bees. Old bees, and they get older and they're ready, as it were, to go out and probably be killed by the weather. I'm afraid they're not able to produce it. So we can see the glinting honey. Let's put it down very carefully, because we never ever want to disrupt anything from the hive. But you will know yourselves that we're very, very famous here at Medibee for our antibacterial honey and how we enjoy it. I have it morning, afternoon, night, but I hope none of you today will put it into your coffee, tea or any hot drink. I hear people who come and they say, Glory, we love our honey and we do put it in our coffee. Please don't, unless your coffee is only just tepid or warm. Don't put it in your porridge unless it's just warm. Don't put it in anything hot. I know when you have lemon and honey, but make sure it's warm, it's not hot. I just sort of feel my pulse here. And it's ticking away quite nicely. God, it's ticking away. It's ticking away nicely. But I know as well, I feel quite warm today. And even I am only 98 degrees, or about 37 degrees centigrade. A beehive works at lower than our blood heat. It works at about 34 degrees. It is best at 34 degrees. At 37, 38, you are frying, literally frying the honey. Please don't. Let the honey always be at room temperature. Store honey at room temperature. Never, ever put it in the fridge, ever. So when you eat it at room temperature. I was asked recently by the BBC to come into a programme with Nadia, who won the British Bake Off last year, or the year before, whichever. A lovely person, so I believe. And she wanted to come and cook something with honey. And to be honest with you, I have dissuaded them to do it, because I don't believe we should cook with honey. You destroy the components of the honey, you destroy its antibacterial activity. If, say they said, well, let's use a cheap honey. No, they're still being made by bees somewhere in the globe. So don't put honey in hot things, in cooking. In my opinion, it's a complete waste, and it is a travesty of that work from the bee. And my word, we don't have many of them now throughout the world. So our antibacterial honeys go without saying any more. But today in our bistro, you will be able to taste on ice cream, on sandwiches, on paninis, on things that are prepared for you, on scones, our gorgeous range of other honeys as well that are coming from the beehive. So our antibacterial ones, oh, and our great one, which is lavender. Lavender. Always look on the lid, and we'll have the lavender feature here, and you'll be able to have a drizzle of lavender honey. Wow, what silk! And it has so much pollen in it all around the rim, rich in pollen, rich in protein. Just like actually having a potpourri of lavender. Taking lavender quiesces the system in so many ways. It quiesces as well the digestive system. Lavender is used a lot in holistic therapy. And so you can't really taste the lavender. It literally feels as if it's absolutely surging through every artery in your body. It's a gorgeous one. You know, we don't realise how much better we feel with honey. I've been taking my honey since I was, 3 months, 2 months, whatever, of age I mean. I'm now too long in the tooth, I realise. But all our honeys are therapeutic. Honey is a living food. It comes from a living hive. We do not heat our honeys. They're slightly warmed, that's all, before they go into the jar. Otherwise they wouldn't fill the jar properly. But they're only slightly warmed, never ever to my blood heat. And then of course we have our Troway Hall's Famous. For those people who haven't, and if you look at that and I turn it round, you'll know it's our Troway Hall's Famous. But then let me turn it round and you see the pollen on the top. I don't know another producer, another bee farmer, another beekeeper anywhere in the world that still keeps the pollen in the honey. Mostly they blast and fiercely pressurise the pollen out so that then the honey cannot in any way begin to solidify. That is totally wrong. If your honey does solidify, take off the lid, put it in the microwave on very, very low and just literally leave it there for about 10 seconds and it will go. Do that intermittently. But never ever destroy the honey or that pollen on the top. Very, very important. You keep looking for that rim of excellence all the way. So there's our Troway Hall's Famous. Brother Adam. Brother Adam is very seasonal. Has a tremendous amount of pollen again. Sadly, we only get it once a year. And these come, all of it, all Brother Adam's here. It is our trademark. It's my trademark. It does not belong to Buckfast at all. Our Brother Adam's botanical honey comes specially from our orchards. So apple, damson, plums, crab apples, pears, mandarins, anything you can think of, they're in our orchards as and when it occurs. And we have a succession of trees, very old, ancient trees, that produce the most wonderful blossoms and the most gorgeous honey. So you must try that. And try fruit on fruit, because it's a honey fruit on your fruit that you will be provided by. It's only recently that people say, Gloria, we want honey just from the hive, not even slightly heated. And we have some. But you'll begin to see that it's beginning to go solidified as well. Not that I bother. It comes literally from the hive, just as a slight liquid, but it will solidify very, very quickly. You can warm it again, but it is raw straight from the hive. And it's got pollen literally integrated throughout the whole thing, minerals, everything that you could ever want, and vitamins. And that is the difference literally between slightly warming and not warming when it's raw honey. So you'll be able to taste this as well. This is something, it's like seventh heaven. Well, you will know as well that we have hedgerows. We have 5 miles of hedgerows at Troway Hall. Marvellous hedgerows. And mostly you will have we've just had the blackthorn, we're about to have the hawthorn, and they will be amazing, all our hedges. And if we are lucky enough to get a hawthorn honey this year, you will taste it. And I want you today just to enjoy all these wonderful tastes of honey. Tell us which you prefer, and those little drizzles here and there make such a difference on every meal that you will have. I'm going to take you through a lot of our products a little later on, but you enjoy it for now.